Greetings, my viewers. Welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons Character Conversion. As always, I am your host, Drayhon. And we are doing one of my favorite video game characters, Ratchet, from the Ratchet Clank franchise, who also has a movie out, which isn't new news, it's old news. But the Ratchet & Clank movie was fantastic. Not as good as the Artemis Fowl movie, mind you, but it was grand. I love it when they get a story right for the movie. While, much like the Artemis Fowl movie, it wasn't 100% like the video game, you can't exactly convert a video game or even a book one for one to a movie. So, with that said, we're going to have the same problem here as always with a character conversion. It's not going to be one-to-one. Now, enough blabbing. Let's get into the conversion. As you can see here, we already have the stats ready for us. Intelligence is going to be our highest stat at a 15. That is because of the class we will be starting out with. Dex is going to be a 13, but that will change shortly. Constitution is our second highest because we do not want to die quickly. Charisma is going to be decently low. You only get a +1 modifier. But you have to admit, inside the lore of Ratchet & Clank, Ratchet is kind of a ladies' man. You probably could even make Ratchet part bard if you wish. But we don't have that here. Wisdom is going to be our dump stat at an 8. While he is intelligent, he's not a very good communicator. He's not as bad as your typical school jock, but he's not that great at communication. Moving on, we're going to race. There is no Lombax race, unfortunately. So we have to go with the closest thing, which, in my mind, is the Tabaxi, which are felines. Which, if you look at Ratchet's design, he kind of has a feline motif going. There's a joke in the video games that he's a mixture of different animals a lot. But I think Tabaxi fits him decently well. He'll get a +2 to his dexterity and a +1 to his charisma. He'll have dark vision, feline agility, cat claws, so he has a good unarmed strike. And he has proficiencies in perception and stealth. He does pretty well with his stealth in the video games, especially if you do it right. Languages are going to be common, and let's go with Elvish, because one of his, I guess you could say, love interests kind of looks like an elf. Could probably go with Gith on that one, I don't know. Anyway, we'll have a 15 in our dexterity and a 13 in our charisma, thanks to these improvements. Now to go into his background, which is going to be a touchy subject, but I think Urchin would fit Ratchet's background. You might think differently. You could probably go with Folk Hero on this one, just so he has access to land vehicles, or even a sailor, so he has access to ships. He'd be able to drive an airship that way. But I think Urchin just sort of fits, especially with his background in-game. And it would explain why he has a map of every single city he visits, even though he's just been there once. It's because of city secrets. Suggested characteristics, I couldn't find anything in the Urchin background that really fit. So I just decided to go with this list. Now, the first class, you're going to argue with me a little bit. I'm going with Artificer. Now, while yes, the hit die is pretty mediocre, proficiencies aren't the best, but that is the class that he originally starts with. He's not very good at fighting, and, well, he's not exactly tough. So Artificer is going to be the one we start out with. You'll get the magical tinkering, a 1d8 on your hit die. Your hit points are only going to be a 10, which seems fair for starting out. At higher levels, you'll get 1d8 plus your constitution modifier per Artificer level. And you also have the Artificer's spell casting feature, which your modifier for it is going to be intelligence. Going up in a level, we'll grab a level in Rogue. This is where you start getting your fighting technique going. And throughout the series, we have seen him with roguish characteristics. While no, he's not a backstabber, he does sneak a good bit. He also has the uncanny ability to dodge certain attacks he probably shouldn't be able to dodge. So I decided to go with Rogue. But because of a Artificer feature way later on in the levels, we're not going to go too far into the Rogue like we did with our last build. At Artificer level 2, we grab the Infuse item, which is pretty good. At level 2 Rogue, we get our Cunning action. Level 3 Artificer gives us the right tool for the job, and we will grab an Artificer Specialist. Now, admittingly, the Battlesmith would be a good one to use as well. But I decided to go with Artillerist, because more or less, the Artillerists give us magical guns, basically. And Ratchet is all about his weapons. Mostly firearms. So an Artillerist makes the most sense. And with the Eldritch Cannon, you have yourself a little walking weapon. And there are a few different turrets that Ratchet has on hand. At level 3 Rogue, grab the roguish archetype of Swashbuckler. This will give us the fancy footwork and rockish audacity, which fits well with Ratchet. At level 4 Artificer, you can either go with an ability score improvement, which will give you a +1 to your dexterity and +1 to your intelligence. At least that's what I would go with. Or you can grab yourself a feat. If you do, grab Sharpshooter. This is perfect for Ratchet's character, just so you can deal extra damage with your ranged attacks. At our next level, let's go ahead and grab a Fighter level. This will give us a hit die of 1d10, and extra hit points of 1d10, plus our Constitution modifier per Fighter level. Weapon proficiency, we have martial weapons now, and we'll grab a fighting style. There are two different ones you can go with, either the archery fighting style or the close quarter shooter. And I just realized that I am missing an R. Here we go. Alright, anyway, archery or close quarter shooter. With archery, you get a +2 to your ranged weapon attacks and your damage, which is pretty good. But I think close quarter shooter is going to be a little bit better. That way we can, well, shoot in close quarters. We also get a second wind feature. At level 5 Artificer, we get the Arcane Firearm and some more Artillerist spells. arcane firearm's pretty good. That's why I kind of like it. That's why I wanted the artillerist. Now at second level fighter, we're going to grab Action Surge. Level 6 artillerist. The artificer gives us the tool expertise. So whenever we use our proficiency modifier for our tools, we'll instead get double that proficiency. Now, fighter level 3, we are grabbing Battle Master. We'll get combat superiority, which means we get 3 maneuvers. I want parry, riposte, and sweeping attack. This makes the most sense for Ratchet's fighting style. We will also have Student of War, and we'll grab a tool proficiency. Go ahead and just grab leather workers tools, just in case the leather on your firearm starts to dwindle a little bit. Or in case you need to make repairs on your Omni Wrench, which is most likely a club. At level 7 Artificer, you got Flush of Genius. At level 8, go ahead and increase your Constitution by 2 if you did not grab any feats. If you grab Sharpshooter from earlier, go ahead and increase your Dexterity and Intelligence. Level 9, you get Explosive Cannon and some new Artillerist spells. Level 10, you got the Magic Item Adept, which is really good. That's why I love Artificer so much. Level 11 Artificer gets Spell Storing Item, which, holy cow, is that great. Level 12, you get another ability score improvement. Go ahead and increase your Dexterity to 18 if you have not taken any feats so far. If you did grab a feat, go ahead and increase your Constitution to a 16 like we did last time. Level 13 Artificer will be getting more spells, which is pretty good. Level 14, we'll go with the magic item Savant, which is why I wanted a level 14 Artificer. Just so I can get this. It makes Ratchet a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Capable, I think? Anyway. That is the last level for our Ratchet. Unfortunately, I did not go through what items Ratchet would acquire or have. You'll have to look that up on your own. But, like I said, the Urchin was a little bit debatable, mainly because of the stuff you got as an Urchin. Didn't really make too much sense to me. If you work with your Dungeon Master a bit, you might have a different pet, because the Urchin gives you a pet mouse. Maybe if you work with your Dungeon Master a bit, you can get like a little servo thing as a pet and call it Clank. Anyway, I think that's all I have time for. So, I'll go ahead and leave it off here. Until next time, this has been Drayhan, and I am offline.